Converse, inverse, contrapositive. 3 vocabulary words associated with a standard conditional statement. There's quite a bit to talk about here. Converse, inverse, and contrapositives. They're all variations that are switches and changes upon a given conditional statement. If A, then B. That normal, regular conditional statement. If A, then B. If this hypothesis, then this conclusion. Now, if we talk about converse, it's just going to be the reverse. So instead of if A, then B, now it's going to be if B, then A. And we're going to go through some examples of this just to make sure that this makes sense. And then also how to make a table out of converse, inverse, and contrapositives to where you can keep track of how to do this. Inverse is going to be the opposite of whatever your conditional statement was. So if your conclusion is, if I like candy, then I eat candy. Inverse would be, if I don't like candy, then I don't eat candy. So it's still the if A, then B, but it's going to be the opposite of what A was originally and the opposite of what B was originally. So you can see that conditional statements, just the regular old one, and inverse are going to be attached to each other. You can remember that conditional statements and inverse conditional statements are connected to each other. You know, if A, then B, if opposite A, then opposite B. Converse and contrapositive are going to be connected because it does the reverse of what the original conditional statement was saying. Instead of if A, then B, we know that converse was if B, then A. So A and B switch. Now the contrapositive is going to be the opposite of whatever B and A were. If I like eating candy, then I like eating sweets. Contrapositive, if I don't like eating candy, then I don't like eating sweets. So there's ways that we can go through and create a little table to where this is going to provide a key for you. And this also introduces new letters for the same thing of what A and B are, your hypothesis and your conclusion. But they're going to be represented as P's and Q's. They're also going to be thrown in these little squigglies, which mean opposite of. So P to Q, Q to P. And you can see that's how the definitions of conditional statement and converse conditional statement are related. You just flip A and B, or in this case, P and Q now. So here are some examples that you could read through as to how this chart is working. You can see that the same statements are being used over and over, just the order might be switched, or the opposite of both of those statements, and or the opposite and they're flipped. How am I supposed to come up with a table to remember this stuff? Well, here's how you can start. CICC. All right, we know that everything's going to be PQ. So we know that the original conditional statement, and we can put conditional statement here. Conditional statement. So it's going to be up to you to memorize what CICC are. That's going to be your conditional statement, your inverse, your converse, and your contrapositive. That matters the order they're going in because it has them associated. So, we know that the conditional statement originally is linked with converse, and we know that inverse is linked with contrapositive. So that the order of those matters. So that would be the thing you need to memorize. Now we can just start flipping stuff because you already know the conditional statement's P to Q. So inverse is going to be Q to P. We know that it's going to go back to the conditional statement, but it's going to be the opposite of what it originally was. And then we know that converse to contrapositive is going to be what the original conditional statement was to the inverse. It's going to be your Q and P flipped, and it's going to be the opposite of what they were. This is a study tool for you to be able to memorize and understand how these statements are working. These notations are going to be something that you're going to need to be familiar with. This is one way to be able to study and memorize it.